Right. So the biggest question that supporters of the DCP party are consistently but silently asking themselves beneath borders is what has happened to Honorable Cleophas Malala, or rather, where is he? Now, other people have accused Malala to have jumped ship, and that is a very, very preposterous position to take before it is made publicly that Malala has jumped ship. But the constant question in the minds of Kenyan people is, where has Cleophas Malala gone? And it would be very, very valid to ask this question, because you remember that on the 27th of November 2025 by elections, one of the very key individuals in the United Opposition camp was Cleophas Malala. Cleophas Malala was seen everywhere, including the Malava by election, still defending the interest of the United Opposition. Even after the IEBC had declared that the win had gone the other way, Malala still required that all those particular ballot boxes be reopened and recounted just for accountability purposes. But now, towards the new year 2026, and with the rising political influence in the country, the presence of Cleophas Malala not just around his DCP counterpart, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, but in the Kenyan political scene is non-existent. And so this has sparked concerns among his supporters, among supporters of the DCP party, and of course among supporters of the United Opposition, wondering where has Cleo gone to, or what has gone wrong that has necessitated the move or the disappearance of Cleophas Malala from the national scene. So this is a clarion call to the members of the DCP party, strong active members. Please let your supporters know where your deputy party leader is at, and if there is anything that has happened internally that has ousted your deputy party leader, also come clean on it. Another thing that is happening over the week that is very, very astonishing is the exchange in the X platform between Honorable Member of Parliament Sam Atandi, who is currently in the Budgetary Committee, and this particular Safina Deputy Party leader and Advocate of the High Court of Kenya, Willis Otieno, who all come from the same constituency, Alego Usonga. And Mr. Willis Otieno has now been dispatching photos of Alego Usonga showing how it is in dilapidated state, that is the roads, the schools, and the institutions that are a reserve and a responsibility of the Member of Parliament. And so he's calling upon the Member of Parliament to explain where his Budgetary Committee resources have gone to, because Members of Parliament have come on their defense saying that the only reason why Ndindi Nyoro's Kiharu is elite as the way it is because allegedly, according to them, Ndindi Nyoro put on some reserve illegally when he was the chairperson, of the National Budgetary Committee to actually finance his constituency that way. So whereas Ndindi Nyoro is showing that this is actually very, very doable within the allocation where each member of parliament is given annually, the members of parliament are coming in their defense saying that that money cannot do what Ndindi Nyoro has done, and are now saying that Ndindi Nyoro's success is of course as a result of the fact that he put a reserve during his time as the budgetary chairperson, or the chairperson of the Budgetary Committee. Now, Honorable Willis Otieno is asking Sam Atandi, who is the current chairperson of that particular committee, to show for it, showing pictures of schools in his constituency, including Uwasi Secondary School, which has been a point of contention between the two, which is in a very, very bad situation. Yet that member of parliament, according to Mr. Willis Otieno, is seen lifting weights every day, putting a priority to the gym and looking good, of course, rather than delivering those particular resources back to his people. Of course, Mr. Atandi has come to his defense with these particular allegations, but his defense has been seen to be one that lacks emotional intelligence, because it has been full of insults, very, very vulgar insults, not addressed just to Honorable Willis Otieno himself, but to his mother. And so Kenyans have taken a look at his reaction as one that lacks emotional intelligence from a leader who is trusted with not only a constituency being Alego Usonga, but the funds and the Budgetary Committee in the National Assembly of the people. Now, as that is still ongoing, Honorable Willis Otieno has now called upon members of the Luo community to send pictures of schools and things like that are a reserve of the members of parliament from their community, so as to hold their members of parliament accountable. And it's a very interesting thread that you can find in the X space going on, where schools pictures are being sent to just show how dilapidated they are in, the conditions they are in across the Nyanza space. And this is the backyard of the treasury, of course, and again, now this is the backyard of the budgetary committee. But away from Atandi and Willis Otieno and their online fights that is calling for accountability for the Kenyan people. Before the mirror today, we want to put a look at this particular talks that now Natembeya is to jump ship and leave the united opposition and join this particular Ruto's camp that is being chaired by Honorable Kenneth Lusaka, who is calling for Ruto's re-election and is mobilizing the western part of the country to actually be in move together. Now we will put that story fully, but later on we will also take a look at Mbadi, who is now calling upon the people entirely, not just the ODM members, to give some respect to Honorable Oburu Odinga's name. This is the People's Mirror, and if it's your first time with our channel, be sure that this is a very interesting channel that you will love after today. So hit that subscribe button so that you never miss when we detail political stories. So first, let us delve into the Mbadi story, why he's now calling upon the people to respect his party leader, and why does he have to do that? Let's listen to him.
Comrades, age uni untie. Abro nende ukatie koma.
Costa.
That's what would have happened to Kenya. You are told how many chiefs do you have across the country? We have 10,000. Remove 10, 5. Remain with only 5. And you have no choice. You'll take them all. How many county commissioners? Go home. How many teachers? You can survive with half. How many MCAs? You must make sure that the MCAs across the country from 1,400 reduced to half. Members of parliament reduced to half. Salary, everybody reduced by half. That is what would have happened to Kenya. So, it is because of decisions that have been taken over the years. Some of them are very faulty. You invest in an infrastructure project that has 30 years of repayment period. Payback period, 30 years.
So after that, where he was having a conversation with these people, of course, detailing the roads that he has actually commissioned and have been announced and is going to oversee, and members of his, of course, community telling him of another road, but he says that that road should not be talked about rather, because that road is important to him, and he's saying that he has not taken that road officially from the hands of the previous contractor, so he doesn't want to lie that they are going to finish that road very, very soon. He also went ahead to tell the youths that he'll talk to them later after he finishes this. That was very interesting to me, first as a youth, and of course also understanding the dynamic of how the youths have always been sidelined for a later conversation, as if whatever he was saying generally was not going to affect the lives of the youths in that particular place. He set the youths to meet him after he had this particular meeting so that they could have their conversation later. Definitely that would have just been handouts. It won't be any other conversation other than the one that was going to be recorded in the national televisions, and of course in these other media houses that were recording what he wanted to say to the national scene. And it still shows the insensitivity that some of these particular leaders have when it comes to youth inclusion into development in their areas. Let me not go deep into that, but let me talk about the point where he was talking about defending the Safaricom shares and attacking Ndindi Nyoro, of course, for attacking this particular sale, saying that if those particular Safaricom shares were not sold, then they would have had to cut, of course, the funding and the employment of certain key sectors and individuals within the state by half. Now, this is the part, ladies and gentlemen, and I want you to let us know at the comment section. I want you to listen to what Mbadi will say on the individuals that he say would have been cut by half, and let us know if that would have been a proper decision or otherwise, because there are calls by Kenyans who feel like we have excessive representation where resources are going to, but the work is very minimal. And so why not? Why, if these particular representatives are going to be cut by half to save our resources, the government decided to sell the Safaricom shares to save the jobs of these individuals? Let's listen to the names that he lists and come back more in that particular commentary.
10,000, remove 10, 5. Remain with only 5. And you have no choice. You'll take them all. How many county commissioners? Go home. How many teachers? You can survive with half. How many MCAs? You must make sure that the MCAs across the country from 1,400 reduced to half. Members of parliament reduced to half. Salary, everybody reduced by half. That is what would have happened to Kenya. So, it is because of decisions that have been taken over the years. Some of them are very faulty. You invest in an infrastructure project that has 30 years of repayment period, payback period, 30 years, and you're taking a loan of 5 years to finance it. 5 years loan for a project that will start paying you in 30 years. Are you being clever? Are you being wise? And then you also don't have any space for taxation. Yet, economy must grow. Our youth, Kenya has one of the fastest growing population in the world. And we are educating our youth.
So you understand where he's coming from, and that is where the CS treasury is coming from. Cut him some slack and let us know what you think from the comment section. He's saying that of course jobs would have reduced by halves, and we would have gotten into 5-6 year loans, servicing loans that would have had a repayment period of over 30 years. I remember the Adani deal ought to have actually, if it went through, the repayment period was of course also cap around the 30-year period. So listen more into his defense before we move into the Natembeya story.
And they are very intelligent and sharp, and they are coming out of school, out of colleges with no jobs. Our economy growing at 4%, 5% cannot create enough jobs. We must make this economy grow at 7%, 7.5% and above. That you can only do, you cannot do that by being complacent and comfortable with the way things are. We must invest more in infrastructure in this country to expand the economy of the country without A, taxing people, 2, taking expensive loans that would be impossible to pay. So where do you run? You have assets here. You have Safaricom making profit, yes, but out of it you can raise 240 billion shillings at one go by selling only 15% of it. You have 35%. You can still retain 20%. And by the way, it is not just this government which is selling or offloading shares. It's actually not even sale. It's offloading shares. It's only Uhuru Kenyatta who did not offload shares in Safaricom. Moi did 40%. Kibaki did 25%. We are only doing 15%. Why this noise about 15%? Why did you make noise when Kibaki was releasing 25%? Or is it because of ethnicity? What is the justification? 240 billion. How much dividend are we getting out of 15 billion today? Out of 15 billion today, we would be getting about 6 billion shillings. Divide 240 by 6. 40 years. It will take us 40 years to get, if we retain the 15% and get dividends. That dividend, if we get the 240, that 240, we will take 40 years. You want to refuse money today because you want to earn the same money for 40 years. Will you be alive? You have not even factored the time value of money, because 240 billion today is not 240 over the years up to 40 years. So long as where you put that money makes sense. And that is why we are saying that yes, we have some infrastructure projects which can be commercially viable.
The reasoning of Mbadi, I'm not an economist, pardon me, but I would want an opinion of the economist in the comment section to make me understand how Mbadi reasons in terms of sustainability, because according to Mbadi, there is no need to have sustainable development at all. As long as you can have all those resources now, as long as you can have them now, because in 40 years we will not be alive. But the old doctrine of sustainability and the principle of sustainable development, I believe that the way it is in environment is also the way that it applies across government expenditure. Is the fact that when a government is making a decision using resources of the state, then that decision must meet the interest of the people right now, while being able to meet the interest of the same mass, the same population mass right now in the future. So sustainability requires that whatever decision is being made benefits the people now, while it keeps the resources for the future to enjoy it with the same mass right now. Listen, this thing is always very interesting. If right now we are 200 people and we have one tree as a Kenyan resource, and one tree as a Kenyan resource is giving each of us one fruit as a mango, or two fruits as a mango, let's use two fruits as a mango, then sustainability, or the principle of sustainable development requires that in the next 40 years, if we go by Mbadi's statistic, in the next 40 years, 200 people, that is the same mass, 200 people who will be the future generation of Kenyan, while using this very one tree, should also be able to get two fruits from that tree. So sustainable development requires that we use our resources right now to benefit right now, while preserving that very resource for the same number of mass to benefit or have the same amount of benefit in the future. But Mbadi's analogy is that if you can get resources right now, and these resources were to of course also come in a span of 40 years, then you will be dead within 40 years. Get those resources right now. If that is the reasoning across all government departments, then it's a very harmful reasoning for the future Kenya. And so perhaps if it has been the previous reasoning, then it was the reason why when President William Ruto took over power, he was giving us explanations to the kind that there were no resources left in the treasury. So seems like, whereas we are talking about sustainable development in paper and we are promoting it as one of the SDGs goals of the United Nations that we need to hit by 2030 and 2063 worldwide as a vision, our decision makers, including our leaders, are not in any way thinking about the future or the people to come after us or after them. They're thinking about if resources can be used right now, then let's use them right now, irrespective of what will happen in the future. Now, perhaps me and you will be dead in 40 years time, and maybe we will be alive in 40 years time, God willing, but that is immaterial. In 40 years time, there will be Kenyans who will be living, and there will be generations that will be alive that will require to use Safaricom resources. And so if they will require to use Safaricom resources at that time, then the benefit that Safaricom resources can give us right now within the same cap of the 15% share needs to be the same benefit that they get then. But that is not the reasoning that is coming from the treasury. From the treasury, it's if we can get that 40 billion that we are supposed to get from this particular share in terms of dividends in a period of those, or that to 40 billion that we are supposed to get from this particular dividends in a period of 40 years, then let us not wait for 40 years, guys. Ruto is here, Mbadi is here right now, let's do it right now. And so when you're questioning it, it comes back down to ethnicity. You see, people are questioning, why are you actually offloading shares to that level? What are we doing with the shares? Explain it to us. But Mbadi is running to the defense that more you offloaded 40, Kibaki offloaded 25. Us in Ruto's government, we're just offloading 15. Why are you asking questions? Is it just ethnicity? The truth is, the current Kenyan electorate has evolved over those particular leadership spectrums. People have evolved from Moi time, they've evolved from the Kibaki time, they have learned a little here and there from the Uhuru time, and right now we're in a very woke democracy in the Ruto time. And even moving forward, the next government might have even a more difficult time because of the exposure and the information that the voter keeps getting. And somebody should not feel jittered that whereas people did not know that Moi had offloaded 40 because information was not supplied as it is now, and people did not know that Kibaki offloaded 25, or if he did, development was seen, education was steady, roads were being created, things were actually working, people didn't ask questions. It is the right of the Kenyan person to ask where their resources are being used at this time, and it should not be taken as an offense or as an issue of attack when the Kenyans come to the forefront and say, where is our money and why are people offloading 15% shares of Safaricom? Now, this particular position of the government that you shouldn't question things that the other governments have done, yet they are doing right now, is also misplaced. And it calls upon the voter, you and me alike, come 2027, we are going to make those decisions. Let us not go back to the redundant mindsets like Mbadi's mindset, who actually make decisions because other people made them and make decisions without considering the future. But let us go to woken mindsets, people who will make decisions for now and sustain the economy and also keep that economy for the future generation that will come out of our children and the people that we are actually raising to also enjoy. Now, that is a commentary that I am making to that effect, because the statements that have been made by the Honorable Cabinet Secretary are not statements of sustainable development, but are statements that can leave the entire treasury very, very empty where he sits right now. And I'm afraid we might witness another government that is leaving the treasury very, very empty by the time this particular term comes to an end. Now, that aside, ladies and gentlemen, there's another interesting story that I want us to recap quickly before we finish this particular episode of this move by Lusaka to actually now woo Natembeya to the government side. Lusaka, who details his history with Natembeya, says that they started working with Natembeya some time back when Lusaka himself was the DC in Muranga, and so Natembeya was the PA of Michuki, and after that became the DC of Muranga. And so he says, whereas Bungoma is developing, he feels bad for Bungoma to develop while Trans Nzoia is not developing in that very direction, saying that they're just like twins, of course, who leaves the mother at the same time. So this has actually sparked a lot of controversy, whether it is a move to woo Honorable Natembeya to their side, or whether it's already a decided thing that Natembeya is going to join that particular camp. Now, in this part of the news bite, let us listen to what Honorable Lusaka is saying on why he's pitching and inviting Honorable Natembeya.
When I left nikitoka Murang'a kama DC, Mheshimiwa Natembeya, with my colleague now, alikuwa pia wa Michuki, na Michuki alikuwa hataki anybody, mtu yule ajulikani vizuri kwenda kwa hiyo district. So nikaulizwa ita Nairobi, mimi na another officer, sema kwa sababu kuweka Michuki, kumweka kamba, utasema aje tupatie pia watu Natembeya. Akasema sawa. Sasa Natembeya became a district commissioner taking over from me in Murang'a. Those are facts. Ukienda kucheki itakuwa hivi. Tunakuja tukafanya kazi, tunakuja tukutana kama. So mimi saa zingine nahuzunika nikiona kwamba pengine Bungoma mkoana anaendelea vizuri na Mlongo anaanza kubaki. Ndio nikasema wacha tuulizane and do it practical and realistic, so that tujue kwamba realistically hata tukisema sisi saa hii kama wali, it's not that hata me I want to be a president, Mungu akipenda, yes, I have what it takes to be a president, but we are saying that for now, are we prepared? Tuko na tumejipanga to run a presidential campaign. Presidential campaign, by the way, in a day is about 50 million. Ndio uweke machinery, kwa sababu utakuwa na wabunge wote Kenya, natakana sijui nini. All this you must put together. So we are saying, let us for now support a winning team. Winning team tumeona ni nani? Mheshimiwa. Pole. Hapa ukiona ndio tunasema sisi we want to be in the winning team. We want to be the winning team. But tunataka Trans Nzoia ikiachwe nyuma in this winning team. We want to be part and parcel of the winning team. Sasa tumewaita, tuko more than 20. Yesu Kristo alikuwa na wafuasi 12 pekee yake, na wakaeneza injili mpaka leo. Inahubiriwa injili kwa 12. We are 20. Hii injili tutashinda.
Ongelesha na Natembeya kufanya kazi na sasa akiambia Natembeya enda kwa opposition atakuwa deputy ya Kalonzo. Watazama 2027, watazama Kalonzo atapata 13% ya kura zote Kenya, alafu apate 100% ya Wakambani. Alafu hiyo sasa Natembeya atakuwa deputy. The deputy opposition. Afadhali tuwe minister ama assistant minister kwa serikali kuliko kuwa deputy opposition.
The statements coming from Kenneth Lusaka, the current governor of Bungoma County, who details his journey with Natembeya, and of course is asking his brother to now jump ship, and Ayub Savula, who actually jumped ship and left the DCP Kenya party, where he was the deputy party leader, to join the position under President William Ruto's wing, whichever position will be given. And now you can see from his reasoning that it's better to be an assistant minister in Ruto's government than a deputy party leader in DAP Kenya party. And ladies and gentlemen, this is very interesting, and so opinions remain your own. Let us know in the comment section. Our role at the mirror here is to just commentate, and we have given our comments on those two political stories. Keep it here at the People's Mirror until our next episode.